My name is Stephanie Otto, and I'm going to be giving a presentation on the topic ransomware and all its facets. And this is from my individual video project, ICS 490, that's the Facets link, fall 2015. Just a quick disclaimer, this um, recording is for educational purpose only. I'm not liable for the content of this recording. Um, I decided to give a presentation on this topic because ransomware is a growing threat to cybersecurity. Never before in the history of mankind has there been such a large-scale extortion scheme, and so just by knowing how it propagates and how it spreads to a system, we'll be able to keep it protected. But what is ransomware? Ransomware is a malware or malicious software that is designed for revenue generating purpose. It propagates by traditional means like phishing emails, website drive-bys, advertising, and it restricts access to a computer system, and it infects in a way and demands pay in turn to its operators for its removal. It is one of the most prevalent direct revenue generating risks, including misleading apps, antivirus scams, um, etc. So, history of ransomware. The first known was the ACE Trojan, known as the PC Cyber. So it was written in 1989 by Joseph Fox, and this sparked a payload which claimed that users' use of a certain piece of software had expired. It encrypted files on the hard drive and then required the user to pay $189 for the PC Cyber operation. Modern day ransomware. The recent ransomware started in 2005 with a Trojan GP coder. A Trojan horse which searches for files with various extensions and encodes them. The original files are then deleted and a newly encoded ones become unreadable. So it usually used custom encryption techniques which were weak and easy to overcome. They also use symmetric encryption algorithms, which meant that the same key was used for both encryption and decryption. But despite initial failures, the malware also did not give up and continued to create newer versions of the threat. So they made refinements each step as they learned from the lessons from the past failure. So the two types of ransomware today are locker ransomware and crypto ransomware. Um, Locker ransomware is commonly referred to as computer locker, and what this does is typically takes the form of locking the computer or device's user interface and then asking a user to pay a fee in order to have full access restored. So this makes access to the mouse uh, disabled, and the keyboard functionality might be limited to just numeric keys, which will allow the victim to only type numbers that indicate the payment. But the underlying system files will remain untouched, meaning that the system could potentially be restored. Uh, uh, and after the virus has been removed, the system could be restored to something that's close to normal. So this makes locker ransomware less effective at extracting some payments as compared to its more destructive predictive crypto ransomware. This type of ransomware favors payment vouchers. So this is how fake notification, law enforcement team notification will appear on your computer screen, and then just by downloading or clicking on the link, or just drive-by download, you will get infected with ransomware. And it will also come like in the form of an FBI warning that you have violated some ordinance or some code, and you are wanted by the FBI, and so just by following the instructions, you can get infected by ransomware. So crypto ransomware is referred to as data locker. What it does is it prevents access to files or data, and then the vast majority of them will use encryption to stop users from accessing the data. so making your data useless unless the user obtains the decryption key. And so after installation, a typical crypto ransomware threat will quietly search for files, and then it will encrypt the files. And then the goal is for it to remain below the radar and find and encrypt all the files that it thinks would be of use or of value to the user. And by the time the victim is presented with the malware message, telling them that the data has been encrypted and damage has already been done. This type of ransomware is prevalent on the dark web. We give us the functionality of the Tor network. Sometimes it extorts bitcoins up to 300,000 US dollars. And Bitcoin is his favorite method of payment. So ransomware attack on the dark web. That's how we see a warning message on your screen when there is a ransomware infection. It's something that will tell you your personal files are encrypted, and so it will give a timestamp on when to provide a key for your files to be decrypted. And so just by following the instructions cause you to be infected with ransomware. So how is this type of malware transmitted? Um, the infection method for ransomware follows the same modus operandi as used by cybercriminals to infect victims with any malware. But the approaches taken by each type of ransomware are quite different, despite having the same objectives. One of the ways would be social engineering. Another spam email downloader data breach, bot infection, SMS message. Traffic distribution system, where you buy redirected web traffic from TDS vendor and point it to a site hosting an exploit kit. Popularly, this site is on adult content related site, and this is a form of drive-by download where you don't have to click on a link, or you don't even have to download an attachment. You just by visiting the site you could get infected. And my advertisement. This is a malicious advertisement known as advertisement that can be pushed into legitimate websites in order to in order to redirect traffic to a site hosting an exploit kit. So just by clicking on a malware link will lead to a ransom infection. Spam emails. Cybercriminals use a botnet to send spam. These cybercriminals may also offer a scamming service to other attackers for fees. The spam usually comes in the form of an email containing a malicious attachment or a link in the email leading to a site hosting an exploit kit. Some of the spam emails used to distribute ransomware include mail delivery notification, energy bills, job seeker resume, tax returns, and invoices. Police traffic offense notification. Social engineering and self-propagating. Some ransomware also contain the functionality to spread. For example, on Android, there are some samples that have not only locked for the device or encrypted files, but employ worm-like capabilities to spread to all contacts within the device's address book by sending social engineering SMS messages. Affiliation schemes. So ransomware as a service is a way of offering to buy into the growing ransomware market without needing to have the skills to create the ransomware or to maintain and run the operations. So this is a conversation or discussion online between a potential ransomware as a service seller and a prospective buyer offering to buy a 70% cut of the potential earnings. So who are the targets for ransomware? Ransomware cybercriminals do not care who the victims are as long as they are willing to pay the ransom of having their computers restored. quote unquote restored. So but the target home users, the biggest targets are individuals who are not fluent with computers or have no knowledge of what ransomware is and how it works. And without technical assistance, them is left feeling isolated and helpless, which increases the pressure to pay the ransom. Um, Businesses, they target businesses because information technology is the lifeblood. Many business and the loss of information we have a devastating impact on the business. A retailer running a computerized point of sale system that has been compromised by ransomware would not be in a position to transact sales. Public agencies, law enforcement, and educational institutions are not immune from all threats of ransomware. In one case, a school district was hit by cyber criminals who demanded a ransom payment 500 Bitcoin, which is equivalent to 124,000 US dollars. The cyber attack on Blackberry police proved so sophisticated that specialists from federal and state law enforcement agencies, plus two private internet security firms, could not unscramble the corrupted files. So after 5 days of desperate effort to unlock Blackberry, the police decided to pay the anonymous hacker the $500. Systems that ransomware impacts personal computers. It's not surprising that ransomware threats today are designed specifically for computers running the Windows operating system, because Windows-based computers account for 89% of the operating system market share for desktop computers, surpassing Mac OS X and Linux. If the ransomware has to be specifically engineered for a particular operating system, because it has to influence system API hooks to block or limit access to controls. Many crypto ransomware threats use inbuilt encryption libraries or APIs supplied by the operating system to perform the encryption and decryption process itself. And this will save the attackers from inventing their own secure encryption method, which is a very difficult task, and producing additional files and libraries that the ransomware with the ransomware distribution. Mobile devices, the most targeted are tablets and mobile phones because they are ubiquitous. Um, Android and iOS are the main players in the mobile OS market. Android has a massive footprint with more than 80%. So a non-jailbroken iOS user has higher prospects of keeping his iPhone safe from ransomware because iOS provides high level of restriction for the installation of apps, whereas Android is much permissive and open, allowing users and freedom users the freedom and flexibility. Excuse me. Android is much more permissive and open, allowing users the freedom and flexibility to choose to install any type of app they wish from any source. This flexibility makes this malware creators to easily operate and spread their creation within the Android system. There are more Android-based threats than iOS. So a ransomware threat on an Android smartphone will look like this. And servers are much more likely to contain data that is critical to the operations or even survival of an organization. So they act as a central point for documents, source code, financial records and transactions, user databases, and trade secrets, making them high-value potential targets. The attacker potentially blackmails business by unleashing an unexpected distributed denial of service attack against an organization server, and then follows with the extortion. Techniques of ransomware. File encryption. Modern crypto ransomware typically uses both symmetric and asymmetric encryption techniques. In a symmetric encryption, a single key is used to encrypt the data, and the same key is used to decrypt the encrypted data. Knowing a key allows a user to decrypt data that has been encrypted with the same key. Ransomware using symmetric encryption will usually generate a key on the infected computer and send this to the attacker or request for key from the attacker before encrypting the user's files. The attacker needs to ensure that the key is not available to the user after encrypting the files. Otherwise, the user might not be able to decrypt the files themselves without paying. Um, Otherwise, the user might be able to decrypt the file themselves without paying. Um, Screen locking. Uh, Lots of ransomware attempts to block infected users by accessing the operating system and services that are running on the computer or device. The approach that is most commonly used is to display a ransom message to the user in a continuous loop. So something like this, you see your computer has been blocked, then you enter payment. So screen locking ransomware. Locker ransomware attempts to block infected users from accessing the operating system and services that are running on the computer or device. The approach that is not commonly used is to the approach that is most commonly used is to display a ransom message that the user is in a continuous loop. So how far spread ransomware is? Ransomware cyber criminals are for the most part targeting more affluent targeting affluent nations or countries with high population density. Nearly all of the countries impacted by the threat of ransomware are industrialized in developing economies that make up 85% of the world's global domestic product (GDP). So that is the percentage of how ransomware has escalated over the past years. You see, in 2015, crypto ransomware has gone up way up. The percentage is so high on how much impact it has on on cybersecurity. How ransometrics are mine. Once the ransomware infects the victim's computer and blocks access to the data, it then needs to convince the user to pay the ransom to regain access. Both local ransomware and crypto ransomware employ several behavioral, economic, psychological, and social engineering techniques to persuade the user into paying the fee. Local ransomware has been known to display a fake law enforcement notice claiming that the user needs to pay a fine for downloading or accessing illegal content. Crypto ransomware message typically includes time limits, indicating that if the user doesn't pay within a few days, then the decryption key will be deleted and the files will be lost forever. Should you pay the ransom? With data being so very essential to our organizations and individual life, determining whether to pay or not is not an easy task. Not paying and losing the data will result in a loss of business. Paying the ransom will further encourage more campaigns for spreading crypto ransomware. Law enforcement will oftentimes give you advice on not paying, but there have been reports that they themselves have paid the demand to have the files back to them. There is really no way of knowing for sure if the victim pays the ransom, the files will be restored. So how do you defeat ransomware? Backup data. Having a regularly updated backup will help you restore your system, your early snapshot, or replace your lost document. You just connect from the Wi-Fi or unplug from your network immediately. This will stop the communication between the command and control server, which will mitigate the damages. Make use of reputable security suites. Having a good anti-malware software and a software firewall will help you identify threats with some ominous activity. And these are just few of the ways to protect yourself from this sort of extortion. There are other ways online that you do research and use able to protect yourself further from the request of ransomware. That concludes my presentation for this um, class portion. Thank you.